Okay.
All right. Dear Mom, I wanted to write this letter so that I wouldn't forget anything I wanted to say. First, I want to thank you for devoting your life to raising me and giving me all the extra care I needed because of being autistic. I realize that my needs necessitate you taking time away from caring for Manuel and Rebecca and also attending to your own needs. I know you have worked hard all these years at the cleaning jobs. I truly appreciate all your hard work. I have turned out to be a wonderful person because all of you did for me. I love you and will continue to love you forever. I know you made me great sacrifice to do all of that for me. I am forever grateful. My gratitude and love for you will remain the same forever. Just recently, you stated that you noticed something different about me. Yes, there is something very different about me. I have grown up and become a man. I am no longer the boy with autism, but I have matured and I now want to embark on a new life. I'm going to move out in order to pursue my new path in life. The reason for this decision is twofold. First, I want to grow and mature as a man, and second, I want to cultivate the relationship with the person I have fallen in love with. Up until recent, I have basically spent my life in my room. I didn't know what it was like to fall in love with someone and be in love. I have been lucky enough to have not only learned this, but to have something that very few people on this earth have, a true soulmate. At first, I didn't understand the feelings I was having, but I have come to know what true love feels like: peace, comfort, and security. When I'm with this person, I feel all those things. It feels like home when I'm with them. She has been nothing but a positive influence on me and has totally changed my life. I have never felt so alive, so happy, and so at peace like I do now with her. I have never been able to. I have never been able to communicate with anyone like I can with her, and she is also autistic. I'm going to move in with her. I hope you will give me your blessings, but I'm going to do this regardless of that. I'll be opening my world to endless opportunity with new path in life, something I will never have had by staying at home in my room. Regarding the person with whom I'm falling in love with, I realized you would never be happy with anyone that this would have happened with. I understand by me having a relationship with someone, it will totally change your life, but it is not my duty to stay with you forever. I hope you can be happy for me that I found that what I dreamed of my entire life, to find a woman who loves me with all her heart and I love her with all my heart. What we have is something that very few people ever find. I will always love you, Mom, but things will just be different now. I want to start spending time doing things with her and building our relationship. It is simply the normal course of life. There never was going to be a good time to tell you this. I wanted to get on with my life, so I need to tell you now. Please take your own freedom and make a positive change in your life. I have chosen to see her at every opportunity there was available to do so. I was secretly with her at all those times, and now I am making it public as I'm going to be with her permanently. By permanently, I mean I am moving in with Anita today.
It was so sad that he had to do this, but we started what we called the Underground Railroad. That after the restaurant escapade, that was in June. Abraham's boss, Bill Butler, is a personal friend of mine, and he had suggested that and this is going to sound really bizarre, but Abraham works for him at his surveying company. Abraham does AutoCAD drafting, design of surveys and everything over there at this time. So Bill suggested, well, how about Abraham's mom, when she drops him off in there at the morning at work, and we would start doing this on Fridays, So Abraham would come to work and would wait about an hour, and then Bill would bring Abraham over to my house. And we'd be together for about 6 hours, and then I would bring Abraham back to work, and then his mother would pick him up. Now, we'd just sit there, we'd talk and talk and talk about, and we could talk for hours, and it would seem like just a moment went by. But we had to do things like that for a 6-month period of time because we knew if his mother even had an inkling that we were together, that she would totally forbid him and take away his phone, because we would text all the time, but she didn't know that, but she would take away his phone and literally lock him up so that we could never see each other. She did force him to write me a letter on the email that he never wanted to see me again. And that was right after the restaurant thing, and I knew he didn't write it. When I read it, I knew he didn't write it. So I was like, ignore it and proceed on. But, and Stephen, of course, had to listen to me. If there was times where like a whole day would go by and I didn't get a text from Abraham, I would think, oh no, Louisa found out about us somehow and it's over, it's done. And I would call Stephen and be in this hysteria. Oh my God, it's over, and and all this thing. But there would be some reason why he couldn't get to text me, because he could only do it in secret, go in the bathroom, go somewhere and lock himself where she couldn't see him texting. But that was to the extreme of what had to be done for us to be able to have our relationship move forward and be together. That was really sticky. Very sticky.
Beyond sticky, that is.
Sticky on steroids. But as we listen to these 3 stories, mine, Anita's, and Abraham, I hope it comes through that we respect our parents. In this case, we respect our mothers, who are kind of the focal point of the stories in these cases. And we want what's the best for them, and we also know that they want what's the best for us. So again, it's a matter of working together to develop greater mutual understanding.
Oh, I have to share about the threat of suicide.
Oh, well, Anita might have something else that she wants to share.
I would like Abraham to share, after he read this letter to his mom, it was about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. He was still in his classes at his school. To share with the audience what Louisa did while you were at your classes.
Right before my class, right before going to a class, I got a phone call. It was mother, and I call her Louisa because after the biggest betrayal she ever did to me, and I will never forget the phone call she did to me. So what she actually said was, and it's like, oh, Anita is just like controlling over me, just like, and my thought was, what is going on? Because I really thought she is a cordial mother who I made a long time ago, but all of a sudden I felt more and more insecure and afraid of her, and I felt like as a tectonic plate split in two, and I felt scared and I don't know what to do, and it's like, and all of a sudden it's like, now she said to me that she's going to commit suicide if we did not come to her Thanksgiving meal or simply break up with Anita. And it's like, I was infuriated. I was absolutely ballistic, and it was just like, I couldn't believe what she just said to me. And it's like, I really thought she's like a beloved mother, like every child could have dreamed of, but it's quite the opposite of what I just saw. It was behind her mask, and I did not know that she could be so sinister and so malicious to me, and this way to prevent me. It's kind of like she's like in the middle between Anita and me, ever just and nurturing our relationship. And I have never in my entire life will she ever did that to me until that up to this point. I felt like so scared, and I never really wanted to hurt her, but at the same time I didn't have any choice but to stop, and just like, and that she made me and Anita to come to at her house on a Thanksgiving. Anita and I, we will never forget the way how the conversations with my mom. Okay. She looked at both of us, and I never see her fiery eyes that we both were like really scared. And it was just like, I never seen her such a hideous soul like this. And it was just like, how could a mother raise an autistic child to encounter such a traumatizing effect on everyone? It's like I could have nightmares, and it's beyond like a movie descriptions. And it was like, Anita and I shared this story. Just like, and sometimes I have nightmares of when I just look at my mother's eye. Well, of course, Louisa, but anyway.
It's okay. All right.
It becomes on this day just like, this is the last time we ever contacted Louisa, because it's like she is no longer a mother, instead she is biological mother, because that's how she made me, because it's part of my gene. And it's truly, really upset me at the same time. She also destroyed my life. And to be with someone whom I fall in love with, and I truly deserve to be a happy life and not to be suppressed and to serve her for the rest of her life, because I felt this, because I knew I have zero confidence at the time, I have zero self-esteem, I have no access
Mm-hmm.
communications whatsoever. Only she tried to train me and to do exactly what she did, as otherwise she would, unfortunately, as it's silly to say, that she said that she'll smash me in my mouth and stuff like that. But still, it's still a psychological effect on me. It's just like she dictated my life, and I never knew what she is capable of manipulating and influence under me. And I really thought she's a wonderful mother, but she's quite the opposite of what I believe. Instead, she tried to keep everything suppressing me from going.
So she kind of did the opposite. You know, typically mothers, when they find out their child has autism, want to do everything to promote early intervention and everything, and it was actually the exact opposite. She did everything to kind of suppress him. But we've been doing a lot of intervention over this past year.
Yes, indeed.
And Stephen knows him from a year ago, and he's quite a different person from a year ago.
Yeah, he sure is, yeah. There was that silent person who I met a year ago who barely talked, and someone now who's clearly a fully grown and capable man.
Thank you, Stephen.
Does anybody like to ask any questions of any sort? Okay.
Wondering if you were homeschooled?
Actually, I go to Georgetown Technical Center. Is it like a trade
Well,
school?
she means when you were younger.
this
When
is-
you were younger, as a
oh.
child. No.
No.
You went to- no.
No. Oh.
Yeah, I can relate to what your story was like, kind of, because I had similar experience, though I'm still living with my parents, though, so I can relate to what you're going through. And I'm on the spectrum too, autistic. So
Yeah.
it's hard because dealing with parents and mothers and stuff like that, because it's like a push and pull thing, you know what I mean, tug of war.
Yeah, it
Yes.
definitely is.
Yeah, and that's the sticky situation, tug of war.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Somebody back there had.
So I could empathize.
But I find it is like, to me, it's like my case is like it's very messy, and it's just like I find it beyond domestic violence, and it's just like I don't think anyone on a spectrum deserve it. Kind of like receiving like accused and a punishment just because it's like just because I have like a little sympathy does not always mean that it can be cruel. Instead, it's like what comes inside of you makes you a person.
Right, exactly.
Deb?
I was just going to say that even raising neurotypical children, there comes a point in time when you go from being your child's manager to your child's consultant. You have to do what a manager tells you to do when they do it, but
Yeah.
when you become your child's consultant, you know,
Yeah.
you can take it under
Yeah.
advice, but they don't necessarily have to follow that.
Of course.
And I think that sort of getting that timing, and I don't think that the shift is an easy shift, because I think you sort of swing back and forth into those roles. But while you were talking, I was just reflecting on some of the demographics and some of the history of autism. And how many years ago was it when Bruno Bettelheim talked about the refrigerator mother?
Right.
That key persons with autism,
Yeah.
a child had autism because your mother rejected you, your mother didn't want you, your mother
Yeah.
didn't care. So now, here we are, we've gone from that, and now we're talking about these kinds of situations.
And-
Boy, this is a lot to think
And
about.
Steve Silverman.
yes.
Yeah, there really is.
Which is going to talk all about the history as well. You should check out his book in August. Steve Silverman.
Silverman, okay,
His book.
thanks.
Now, somebody back there had a.
Question?
Just wanted to add that.
Well, I was listening, and you're the relationship I want myself to have. Okay, I'll be honest. My son is 30, and his name is Jonathan. When he was 27, he goes to a recreational program, and he met a young woman there at the program, and they had a family day, and he came home and he told me he had a crush on a girl. He gave her a Valentine's Day card for the first time. I was, told my whole family, everyone, so overjoyed. And when we went to the family day, her mother was there. Totally wanted him to stay. Totally, I'm the opposite of how his, your mom reacted. I want my son to have a relationship. I want him
Yes.
to have a healthy, safe relationship.
Yes, I
And
agree.
that's my concern, that he might meet someone who would take advantage of him.
Yes, I agree.
So that's the things I look out for. But we get there, I'm excited about meeting this young woman and everything. I met her one time. I had to pick him up because we had to go out. And I met her briefly. And she was so shy and so sweet. And I'm like, oh my God, she's so cute. That's why she's so cute. And, but that's a mom's reaction. And then I was excited to meet her mother. I was hurt. We sat at a big round table, and my sister and my brother-in-law, who, in case something happens to me, watch out for my son. They were there. Jonathan wanted to sit next to her. Her mother told him. And I saw how she pulled her over to the side. Okay, John, why don't you sit on the other side of me? Because I saw told her, get away. The body reaction from her mom. And I watched her whisper to her mom, yes. She was excited to kind of shy, not exactly looking at him, but you could tell like there was like. And Jonathan told me, he said, Mommy, I just want to sit next to her. I said, you can sit here, and she'll sit here, and I'll get to know her. So I had to like kind of make up a story so that he wouldn't feel bad. And we sat there. She didn't talk much about her daughter. She talked about her other children. And Jonathan was trying to get to know her mom, and she ignored him. And when we went upstairs into an area where they could dance, there was other young men there who were much higher functioning than Jonathan. And she took her daughter over. Stay over, come, dance over here, be over here. And Jonathan was he's like, can we leave? Can we go home? I was told, I felt so bad for him. But we had a talk afterwards. And I asked him, I said, how would you feel if, you and her, I'm not gonna mention her name, just became friends? Because it's possible that her mother doesn't want you to be with her. And I know that can be kind of hurtful. It hurts anyone who gets rejected. But how would you feel if you were just wanting to be friends? I said, well, and he put his finger like this. This is how I know he likes you, like this. And somebody says, well, I guess you'll have to be my friend. I said, well, there's someone else out there for you, but I want you to know that I want you to have a relationship. Because he told me since he's 12, I can't stay with you forever. When in your letter to your mom, he told me, I'm not responsible for your happiness. And he was 12.
Yes.
And I understand. My mom didn't understand that. My mother, she said to your mother, I said, no, you know what? That's good. I want him to be able to say that. He knows he's not going to be able to take care of me. He needs to take care of himself. He needs to secure a life for himself, and that's good. But I look at you two, and you are what I want. So I want you to know that.
Well, see, we're best friends and soulmates. And we take care of each other, we watch out for each other, we work as a team. In the kitchen, we have a big part because we love to cook, so everything we do, everything together like a team, and we just...
And we exchange our
And
communications.
your mom is missing out on something that's great. I want you to know, okay? As a mom, your mom is missing out on something that's wonderful in your life, okay?
Yes.
Do not feel bad.
I don't- I-
Whatever she's doing, that's something that she has to work out, not you.
Right, exactly.
You know? I mean, I don't know what other mother will ever say that to you, but I want you to know, as a mom sitting here,
Correct.
I'm very proud.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add,
Oh,
Okay, yes.
My question is actually to you and just to other parents and then people also with autism. As someone that works in the day rehabilitation center, and so I work often with people who have similar feelings and want to have relationships and have family members that maybe discourage them. And I've also worked in a home with a child with a mother who was very overbearing and was a wonderful, caring mother, but that you could see that he wasn't going to have much individualism as he gets older. I'm wondering what would be helpful from us as caregivers or people who are coming in kind of as an outside voice. What would be helpful for? We try to advocate as much as we can, obviously, but you know some families just are not open to it. And I'm wondering what we can do, if there's anything additional that we can be doing.
actually, that's something I was gonna ask a question about, just like self-direction and self-determination is very important for everyone, important, especially for people who are autistic people, autistic culture, and anyone in the world. And we need to people need to be able to self-direct their lives, and you guys are doing that. That's what you guys wanted, and and Stephen wanted it, I wanted it, everyone else wanted it in this world. Because that's what we have to do as human beings. It's just like direct our lives and it's a process with parents and a process with anyone who's a caregiver to try to tell them, to try to say, hey, I have to let go a little bit, but I can still guide, I can still consult, but I can still support as well. And there's a difference between support and consulting. There's a difference between caregiving and self-direction. And self-determination is important. And I think this is a great story.
Yeah, ideally, it starts early.
Yeah, it does.
And you can, a parent or a significant caretaker can help that person with autism by providing choices.
Yes.
The concept of choices, which is something that it appears that Abraham was lacking.
Yeah.
You weren't given much in the way of choices.
No, and that wasn't good at first, but it's
Really?
good that you advocate for yourself.
Yeah, he
Now-
does.
Self-advocation.
Yes,
now
thank
he
you.
does.
That's good.
Thank
does.
you.
Now you're-
So providing information is power, and helping that person on the autism spectrum understand what it means to them to have autism. And that's where it all starts. Because knowing one's strengths and one's challenges, that leads towards developing a good sense of self-determination. And then from self-determination springs advocacy. And what the real challenge is to us is, for many of us on the spectrum, is that the skills of advocacy have to be taught in a direct manner. Whereas most people advocate for themselves automatically, it seems to be a software module that's already implanted in people's brains. Those of us on the spectrum, we often need to be taught. We need to be provided direct instruction. And the good news is that we can learn to advocate, and we can learn to advocate very well for ourselves. And I believe a lot of our conversations we've had today, a lot of the topics that were covered today, actually mirror what goes on in the general population. It's just for those of us on the autism spectrum, just like everything else, we're a study of extremes.
Yes.
It's just more so.
It needs to start early though.
Yes, that's right.
It does.
It needs to
Yes.
start earlier than later because
And it needs
that's
to
the
be
problem,
included.
is that, you know, as providers for the consumers, for my son, it needs to start earlier to teach them how to advocate for themselves. You know, to speak up. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to say something if something's going on. It's something that I did teach my son, you know.
And
to
it's
say
always
something.
nothing about us without us.
I'm sorry.
Nothing about us without us, always.
Amen.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
Always include when you're
You have a
Yeah,
question?
it's not really a question, I think it's more of a comment. And I think one of the points that I think many mothers would put out there, sticky or otherwise, helicopter, whatever. They're all pretty much in some way sticky. Others are more sticky than others. I think the issue is, as a parent, raising a child with a disability of, whether it be on the spectrum or close to it, or tendencies, we're all learning. And so, unlike the neurotypical child who shows you their ability, and they're very conspicuously developing, there is a natural need to try and help and develop and push and show and tell and do and guide and protect the other sibling who is not appearing in any fashion to be able to take care of themselves.
Because disability is scary.
What?
Disability is scary, but it shouldn't be scary.
No, it's not so much that it's scary. It's the way it is.
That's the
And
way it
so
is.
when you
It's fine,
develop,
human experience.
parents are developing along with you.
Yeah.
And so some know when it's time to let go, and some don't. And I think everyone suffers in the same way because there are, unlike yourselves, who are very high-functioning people.
Well, it's not very.
But one of the things is, and I totally understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. Now, one of the things is parents, it's helpful for them to recognize the fact that they need to start getting the child out there, even if they're hovering like a little helicopter over them, but sit in the car as you send the kid into the grocery store. You know, you'd see if somebody's trying to abduct them as they're coming out the door with them. Safe things that you can do to force that child to go and start learning. And when they become old enough to make them go into a bank and open up a bank account, even if they put 50 cents in a week or whatever, but so that they have to go and sit with the banker to make them do that and go through the whole little process of that. If they're on Social Security, to learn how to go to the Social Security office for themselves and advocate for themselves, and become the payee of the checks, so they can now be deposited into their own little bank account. To do all these things to make that person start feeling independent and capable of taking care of themselves, because it does a child no good for the mother to keep hovering. I mean, when I was doing my Asperger support group every month, I would have moms come there with it was always the son, who was in their 30s and 40s, and there's the parents walking on canes and in wheelchairs coming in, and the son would sit there, kind of like how he would just sit there not say anything. The mother would do all the talking for the son, and I would kind of ask little beta questions and find out that, of course, they're doing everything for him, and I'm thinking, y'all not going to live forever. What is he going to do when y'all die? Unless you're Donald Trump with the hair, okay, and you can afford to leave a trust for the son. The kid, then what's going to happen to that child who can't even know how to open a bank account or get a job and keep a job if the mother did all that, because it's not helping the child to do that.
And should be regardless of who the person is, and what disability they are,
Right.
what level of,
Yes.
doesn't matter what level they're at, everyone should get that chance.
Correct.
I couldn't
Yes.
agree with you more.
Yes.
There's a question, comment?
Whether
I haven't heard much from this side of the room yet.
For your presentation.
I have always been in awe of Temple Grandin's mother because I felt like she.
We're having lunch with her as soon as we leave here.
I felt like she was like one in a million. Now I hear that this is part of what's going on and that you can take one road or another, so to
Yeah.
speak, you know. So thanks for explaining that very clearly.
I'll tell you, Stacia, when I see her in a half hour.
You Stacia, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Did you have something?
I did have one more thing to add, or comment on, I guess, is we have the situations where we want our child, our children, our family members to go into the bank and start the account. We don't want the parent or caregiver to hover. But the missing piece is, and this is where our culture and society needs to step up, is people who work in the bank need to understand autism.
Yes.
That too.
So that
Yes.
They can bridge it. It's too much for parents to carry this on their own.
It is.
And it's
Right.
too much to put on the child or
It
young
is.
adult.
Yes.
So as a community, I'm really hoping that we see more awareness so that communities can,
Acceptance.
not just acceptance. I don't
Understanding.
want to just be accepted, I want to be understood, I want to be welcomed. I want,
Respected.
right.
But-
And
yeah.
so we need to have communities where people who work in banks and schools and restaurants are support members and aren't those scary people who we think we have to protect our
Yeah.
children from. So I'm hoping that that's what we see in our culture in the next generation.
Well, one of the things actually that Abraham and I are doing, Abraham and I are getting married in September 26th in San Diego as part of a conference called the Love and Autism Conference. And we actually decided to do this as a public thing to bring awareness that us people actually really do want to have a relationship and a love and a marriage like everybody else does, and it'll bring more awareness to people so that accept us into the community, understand us, and help us where we need help.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that, but to advocate for it and just become part of a functional community like everybody else.
A part of it is also spreading the word, because what you said with the bank, I am the caregiver of my son's money, and I actually went and opened the account for him. But when I went to the bank, it was Chase, just in case anybody wants to ever know, and I went to the Chase Bank, and I explained to them concerning my son, and every teller in there knows who he is. I made it a place where now another parent can go and say, hey, I'm going to open this account. So it's up to us as parents to build that community for everyone, not just for ourselves. Because I mean, when Jonathan was younger, I worked at the Board of Ed for a while as a volunteer, as a parent, sat inside the IEP meetings, okay? So I can help other parents who were coming in, who were coming with younger children, who didn't know the system. It's on us, okay? A big part of it is on us, okay? We have to help each other. We have to help our kids, not just mine. It's whoever else is in here, who's a parent, who's a caregiver, who cares. Not just a parent, who cares. It is up to all of us to make the change. Even if it's this small, seems like this small, it's this big. Because from each little step, it gets bigger.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
That's very well said.
Very well said.
Well, if more questions come up later on, we're here for the rest of the conference. We can easily be found online. Even if you find only one of us, you can reach the rest of us.
And tomorrow, Abraham and I are doing a presentation called I've Got Asperger's, He's Got Autism, How We Make a Romance Work. And then I'm going to do one called Asperger's on the Job to talk about all the very unfortunate, what word would I use? That I encounter every day on my job as an anesthetist. Discrimination, harassment, and everything. It's really sad that it all goes on, but it does, and I'm going to talk about it and hopefully maybe just share with others what happens and how we all need to stop this kind of behavior in the workplace.
And getting back to The wedding, you're all invited. September 26th is the marriage date,
He's marrying us.
and I'm marrying them. San Diego. And we have our first volunteers coming.
I'm
Our
definitely
first
going.
guest. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.